Greetings, YouTube, and this week I'm going to review Goldeneye. It's of course starring Pierce Brosnan, Sean Bean, Famke Janssen, Isabella Scorupco, and of course, Judi Dench is in her first outing as M. Now, I always gotta say, makes me wonder how canon the Brosnan timeline was to the others, because given how there's no Felix Leiter, only one besides Lazenby to not have Leiter in his movies, but instead you get Jack Wade played and perfectly cast by Joe Don Baker. Shame they didn't bring him back for the other ones besides Tomorrow Never Dies, but that's for another review. But overall, this was one that kind of, well, the game was what made me a huge Bond fan, and the movie, epic. I mean, come on. The Tina Turner theme song, 2 Sean Bean death scenes, and of course, Famke Janssen as Xenia. Oof. Talk about one of the sexiest film villains in history. And I mean, perfectly cast too. Cast for that role. I don't know, downside, I hate that her downside is, one of the flaws that I wish her character didn't go, because Xenia could have been to the Brosnan Bond timeline, like how Jaws was to Roger Moore timeline. You know, a recurring villain, or in a future movie, could have turned good. Because how popular of a playable villain and of a villain she was, and an excellent playable character on the Goldeneye N64 game. Overall, this is one of the best Bond movies, period, not just the Brosnan timeline. Although, fun fact, when The Living Daylights came around, Brosnan was originally tapped, but luckily we got Dalton instead at that time, which this Goldeneye was intended to be the third Dalton film, but they just deemed him too old or something like that. Which, nothing against Pierce and all, but personally, Dalton's my favorite Bond. Pierce, I don't know, right? He did an excellent job, and I was gonna give it little side characters like Robbie Coltrane as of course Valentin Sakovsky, and the whole excellent storyline of where and the only Bond movie to ever feature a time jump, where it was like the beginning, it was like 1986, where he and Trevelyan, played by Sean Bean, of course, were infiltrating a chemical weapons lab and run by the Russians, of course, and of course you find out that he was in on General Aramov's plot, and you know, when Trevelyan faked his death and masqueraded his whole year as Janus after the two-faced Roman god, and surprisingly, which is weird in the movies how they always pronounce it as Janus. And it's like, you're British, not German, James. And gotta give it for that old epic chase scene at the beginning, where he's first encounter with Xenia and the whole street race for Monaco and all. Monaco, and talk about an excellent how he dusted off the old DB5 and challenges old Xenia to a street racing. She's just as bad behind the wheel as she was with a firearm. And And like I say, Famke's old Xenia's character, like I say, she turned the Second Amendment to the sexy amendment. I mean, that scene where she just killed everyone but Natalia in that lab and Boris in that lab, computer in that computer facility in Severnaya. And of course, the whole plot of the whole Goldeneye satellite, which is surprising because which EMP strikes, new way of modern warfare, and of course that Tiger helicopter, which is really just an Apache, but still EMP proof, made a perfect getaway vehicle, which, like I say, old Trevelyan made one of the most excellent Bond villains in history. And of course, you got, like I said, just mentioned John Baker and how he's perfectly cast. And yeah, kind of like always kind of thought Bond movies needed a little bit of a redneck flair anyway. Like how with Den was the Diamonds I've ever had Bond in a Mustang. Yeah, we get a chase scene in that, and gotta admit that, and then again, with Goldeneye, you got a street race between Bond's DB5 and Xenia's Ferrari, and of course the whole tank scene. Talking about old Bond, the only person that could ever successfully drift a tank through the streets of St. Petersburg, Russia, that is. And how although one downside was the whole little use of that excellent car Q had set up with that BMW, which was a staple of the Brosnan timeline, and the first canon Bond film to have feature Bond driving a motorcycle at the beginning, where he just hops on that bike, jumps off the cliff, tries to catch that plane in midair, and takes off. Right before it takes off, when that chemical weapons lab explodes, and enter Tina Turner's signature song, hit song out of that, and of course the whole deal of Alan Cumming as Boris, and which has kind of always made a pair of Famke Janssen and Alan Cumming. Those two always made a good acting pair, because in various scenes, because coincidentally being the same movie, like with said Goldeneye and the X-Men movies, where Alan was the original Nightcrawler and she was the original Jean Grey, and a excellent cameo to where the only time you ever hear a country song in a Bond film, and it was badly done by Minnie Driver trying to do a bad Russian impression. And it was like, no wonder the 007 called that strangling the cat. And of course, and of course the whole Cuban thing, which kind of a perfect place for that, for the final showdowns and all, and kind of fitting in with. Yeah, I was gonna say something about dying every day, but I gotta save some of that commentary for that review. But overall, Goldeneye is a 5 out of 5. I mean, perfect sound, excellent theme song, perfect casting, and gotta give it to the new side character, Samantha, ironically named Samantha Bond, ironically, which is surprising, ironically casted, because for a Bond film being to take the mantle of Moneypenny, which that was and of course the whole Q thing, lab scene where he has the car, and then the exploding pen, and the hilarious funny when Bond just flipping out a sandwich, picking up a random sandwiches. He goes, and Q's like, "Don't touch that. That's my lunch." And just riding around in a little fake, wheelchair and with a cast gun, and how about some of the creative uses out of that one, like the belt that set up a grappling hook in the archive scene, and I gotta say, Goldeneye, it did, out of most Bond films, it was one of the first ones to have well, Brosnan period did rack up the highest body count, and of course with one of those gun switches, like some scenes where he had like a 1911 between his PPK, which almost did later, which, and that's for another review. Like, and I already mentioned, a 5 out of 5. Epic masterpiece. Enjoy, people.